We all want to show our best side during a job interview, which is probably why we find it so difficult to answer the negative emotion questions. In today's video, I'm going to share a few common negative emotion questions and how to answer them. Hi guys, welcome to Insider Gyaan. My name is Soumi. I am an IIT Delhi and ISB Hyderabad grad, and I have been working for about 8 years now in management consulting and banking. On this channel, I use my experience as well as my network to bring to you some insider knowledge and gyaan about college decisions and career choices. So if that's something that you are interested in, please subscribe to this channel. The negative emotion questions are probably the most difficult category of interview questions. Because let's face it, no one likes to be vulnerable or show our weak side when we are trying to get a job. But it's also a fact that we are all imperfect in our own ways, and the interviewer knows that no one is perfect. So when they're asking you these negative emotion questions, they want to know whether you are aware of your shortcomings, and more importantly, if you're mature enough to be working on them. So there could be several types of negative emotion questions, but I'm going to be focusing on the 3 most common ones. Number 1 is describe a failure in your life. Number 2, describe a challenging project or situation in your life. Number 3, did you ever have a conflict with one of your teammates and how did you deal with it? As you can see, these are situational questions where the interviewer is directly going to ask you about an example or an experience that you have gone through, and he wants to know what are the actions that you took in those kind of situations. So question number 1, explain a situation where you failed. Now you could explain a big or a small situation in your life. It could be professional or personal. I prefer to keep it professional, but if you have had some really big personal failure, you could talk about it as well. So how do you answer this? First, start with the context of the situation. Also define what success meant in that situation. Secondly, explain how you failed and why you think you failed. Thirdly, and most importantly, highlight what your learnings were and how you did better the next time. An example of this could be, once I was asked to do ABC job in 3 days. At the end of the second day, I realized that even if I spend a night out, I won't be able to complete it within time. I brought it up with my manager and asked her for an extra day. I also took her guidance on how much detail I should really go into, and with her help, I managed to deliver the work within that extra day. My biggest learning from this experience has been that I should clarify expectations when I am assigned a piece of work, especially if I feel like it's too much to complete within the time allotted, because maybe the manager doesn't realize the effort that it takes to complete that work. Or maybe she doesn't need a lot of details. Following this strategy has helped me deliver all my work on time in the last few years. Next question, explain a challenging project that you have worked on. What the interviewer really wants to know here is what is it that you do to overcome challenges? And secondly, again, what you learned from it that you're going to carry through your life. So how do you answer this? First, you explain the context. Second, you explain the challenge that you faced. And then third, you talk about some of the steps that you took to overcome the challenge. An example could be, in one of my projects, we had to analyze a lot of data to understand the sales productivity of our team. Now, the challenge we faced was different sources had different data, and there was no way for us to find out which one was more accurate. How we went about solving it was firstly talking to experts, and secondly talking to people in our company who have delivered these kind of projects in the past to get their point of view on which are more reliable data sources and to get their opinion on which data is closer to reality. This shows that you know exactly when to call for help if you need some. Moving on to the third and the last question, which is explain a situation when you had a conflict with your teammate and how did you resolve it? Now, it's only natural to have different point of views and conflicts at work. The only time you will not have any conflict is when you don't have a point of view. So, the interviewer wants to know if you have a point of view, if you're able to put it out assertively, and most importantly, if it conflicts, then were you mature enough to resolve it properly? Now, personally, my mantra is to resolve conflicts through data and information rather than opinions. So how to answer this? First, talk about the situation, give some context, explain the conflict. Second, talk about what are the steps that you took to resolve it. And third, talk a little bit about the outcome. An example could be, once for one of our projects, we were looking to bring in a third-party vendor. Me and my teammate had different point of view on which vendor we should bring in. So how did we go about resolving it? Both me and my teammate sat down and listed all the parameters that were important to select the vendor. In this process, we also took our seniors' point of view because they had more experience to share. Once we had identified the parameters, me and my teammate sat down and rated both the vendors across all those parameters. It turned out in that specific situation that my friend's vendor had a higher score and we went ahead with him. Now, this shows a couple of things, right? Firstly, that you are mature enough to not take conflicts or difference in point of views personally. Secondly, your maturity to resolve the conflict in a very methodical way. So as you can see, it's important in negative emotion questions to put a positive spin to it. For instance, in failure, it's important to highlight your learnings from it. In case of a conflict, it's important to show how you resolved it, so on and so forth. That's all I had for today's video. Hope this helps you in building confidence in answering some of these negative emotion questions. If you liked this video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. I'm going to see you super soon with next week's video. Till then, bye.